In today's video, I want to talk about living with emissions on a modern diesel. We are in our F450. It's got the 6.7 liter Power Stroke. And as you can see, our exhaust filter is full. So it is time for the truck to go into a regen. So one of the things about emissions is you really got to give the diesels and the exhaust filters a chance to burn everything off. And I think this video will be valuable for a lot of people who are interested in getting a diesel but not quite sure if the emission system is going to be too much of a headache for the type of driving you do, for the type of potential issues that it can bring. Is it better just to get like a 7.3 liter gas engine if you can swing it? But anyway, we're about to hook up to our trailer. See you guys once we are hooked up to our trailer, and we'll continue this talk about diesel emissions. So we are now hooked up to a trailer right now. It weighs about 5,000 pounds, and we are towing, but it still says exhaust filter full. So basically the truck is waiting until, we've been driving for a while, and it will go into a regen mode. And when this does happen, you want to go ahead and let the truck do its whole process, to regen. You don't want to shut down the truck once it starts doing its regen, because if you do that, then it won't get through the whole process, and it's just going to start the cycle over again from the start. So if we're at a 90% or 95% diesel exhaust back pressure, so basically there's sensors measuring how much pressure is in the exhaust system. If we only burn, say, 5% of the back pressure down, when we get into the truck, it's going to want to get back to 100% full before it can start. So you can always be in a situation where the exhaust element, the filter, the honeycomb filter in the exhaust system, never really gets cleaned fully, because it always shuts down before it's fully done doing a regen process. So burning the soot, using its own fuel to burn and create a hot situation that burns off the emissions that the filter has captured. If you are a short trip driver with the diesel truck, you can run into a situation where it never gets cleaned. So once that element gets clogged up really bad, the truck won't run right. It'll go into a derated mode, and you won't be able to drive the truck. You have to go to the dealer, and they can do a regen with their computer, but then you're looking at downtime and things like that. So if you're a short trip person that's not towing a lot, then yeah, you can run into that issue. So me, I'm kind of in between. Sometimes I'm just a short trip, but sometimes I am towing a lot. And what I've noticed is when I'm towing, the whole regen process is a lot different because the engine's under a lot more strain. It doesn't actually regen quite as much. Like sometimes if it's hot outside, I'm towing loaded trailer, it'll just the whole thing will just regen on its own. It'll just passively regen on its own. So that's something to think about. Let's see here, no turn on. Can I turn here? Maybe I'll hook this turn, get to this car wash. So yeah, we're actually going to wash our trailer right now. So with that, it's going to be beneficial for me to leave the truck running if it starts doing a regen, because then it's going to just burn off 5% right away. And the last thing I want to do is burn down 5% and then turn off the truck and have to work back up to 100. Hopefully I'm explaining that right. Hopefully it makes sense. But anyway, we're going to continue this day, and once it actually goes into a regen, we'll talk more about living with our emission system on our modern diesel trucks. See you guys at the next scene. So I just got to the car wash, and literally within like less than a mile of driving since I touched base, I hope the sun's in the way. There we go. We burned it down to 80%. It was literally at 85%, and we burned down to 80. So here's a quick tip: if you have one of these trucks and you're gonna do something like wash your truck real quick, and you are in a regen process. Oh, say hi, kitties. So you are in a regen. So what I like to do if I've already started a regen, and I'm gonna stop, well, I'm gonna kick it into high idle. And for me, that's just hitting my parking brake, and we have our high idle hooked up to auxiliary number 6, or is it 1? I can't remember. It's 1. Been a while. The truck just got back from the shop. So auxiliary number 1 is our high idle. So being that I'm gonna stop here, the regen process isn't gonna function quite as good. So our high idle will help it actually continue to burn off and get a better regen even though I stopped. Ideally, I'd keep driving, but it doesn't make sense for me to drive right now because I'm not driving. So our high idle just kicks up our engine speed just a little bit, but maybe even, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm even considering a higher idle if I had like a 2,000 RPM idle. But even that little bit of a higher idle, you can see our exhaust filter still burning off as we sit here. So I'm going to go ahead and wash our truck and trailer. Maybe I'll go ahead and show you our trailer in our truck. But anyway, see you guys outside of the truck. So the truck is all washed up, and that little high idle trick got us down to a 50% full status on our diesel exhaust filter. But let's go ahead and take a look at this truck and trailer setup. All right, so here it is. It's starting to rain, so I got to hurry up. But it's a F450 6.7 power stroke and a 16-foot dump trailer, and I do like to try to keep it clean. I know it's crazy and it's just a tool and whatever, but I do like to clean it up. I think that it helps keep it from getting abused, whereas if it was just dirty, I think guys would just tear it up even more. I couldn't really get it that good because the knob was broken on that spray gun, and I had the kids with me and they were running around, so I just kind of did what I could. So there's still some, dirt left over, but it's just the basic cleaning of the outside to kind of make it look a little bit, more presentable, but at the same time kind of put forth the effort to make it look nice so it don't get torn up too bad. These are so expensive, and I had to tell one of my guys, like, he didn't want to lift up the aluminum ramps, and he didn't want to open this door to put those in here, so he just put it on top of the paint on top of this door and just dragged it in and dropped it. And it's like, hey, if you rip off this paint, you rip this paint off of this door, guess what? It's gonna rust. Now it's gonna rust out quicker. Yeah, the trailer's gonna rust, don't get me wrong, but now it's gonna rust out that much faster because you don't want to do a little bit of extra. Now the inside inadvertently gets beat up because that's where materials get hauled and equipment and everything, and it is what it is there. But I will lift this trailer and oil the trailer because these short tracks will rust. So I'll go to the key rust spots and I'll go ahead and oil those and all kinds of crazy stuff just to keep it nice. Sometimes also I'll wax the paint. I'll wax the paint. I'll really clean it and I'll wax the whole outside. Try to make it a little bit easier to spray off and try to protect it a little bit more from the UV. So anyway, let's go ahead and continue to talk about emissions. So yeah, that little trick got us down to 50% exhaust. It didn't get us all the way down to 0 though, which is fine. And when you're living with emissions, I mean, sometimes getting down to that 50% is good enough. Now, if you were towing all day, even with this trailer, it would burn down before it even reaches 100. It'll start passively regenerating. So these trucks, these diesel trucks, they really want to tow. If you're not towing at all with the diesel, modern diesel with emissions, it could be something to really think about whether or not you're going to even buy the diesel. If this truck is always towing this trailer, the emission system will be happier. And honestly, the emission system would be even more happy if I were like over the road hauling some weight. The emissions would never be a factor in that situation. I mean, you still have the DEF and everything to fill up, but with that situation, it wouldn't have to necessarily go into regen because the exhaust system would be so hot most of the time that regens wouldn't even really be that much of a factor. It's the idling, it's the driving, that first 30-40 minutes of driving unloaded, that creates a situation. Not that it creates necessarily more soot or anything like that, but the whole exhaust system just isn't hot enough to eliminate the emissions on its own passively. So when these trucks are towing, they passively burn off the exhaust without having to regen quite as much. So that would be the best situation for the emission system, is to be just towing all the time. Now, if you're not towing all the time, a lot of people drive these trucks just because they're cool trucks, just because they're faster, just because the performance is so good. A lot of people will just drive diesel. If you are doing that, then it's a good idea to turn on OCR, Operator Command Regen. I've talked about this on this channel quite a bit. It's been talked about on other bigger diesel channels like Powerstroke, Tech Talk. You turn on Operator Command Regen. You can do it at the dealer. If the dealer doesn't know, just show them a video on YouTube of what it is. Sometimes dealers don't know, but that allows you to burn the exhaust system off in a static position, and it also shows you your filter status. So if you can't see the filter status like how we can see it in our truck, then yeah, you need to turn on OCR, and it'll help you maintain the health of your exhaust system a lot better. But anyway, my name is Sean. This is DS Trucks. I gotta get going. See you in the next video. Over and out.